Hello, ladies and gentlemen from Hammers Poles. My name is Ian. We've been here before, but it's nice to be back. We're talking Burnley, West Ham Burnley. We're at home, which is good. Well, there's no fans, so does it really make that much of a difference? Who knows? Against Burnley, we've lost We've lost four of our last 5 games, only winning 1, 4-2. All of them have come in the Premier League over the last couple of seasons. Both of last seasons we lost, which is not ideal. We've lost 2 players to transfers, one being Robert Snodgrass, big personality in the dressing room, always laughing and joking, keeping spirits high, and the other being Sebastian Haller, who is mixed emotions between West Ham fans. Personally, I would say good riddance. Some of you will say that's really bad and it's a mistake selling, but we'll see who's proven right coming over the next few years, shall we? Do I think we're going to get a good result against Burnley? Yes, I'm confident we are playing well. Antonio, I would assume, is back, which is why they've let Haller go. And he will be back with a vengeance, up to trying to score in more games and be that tenacious striker that we know him to be. We've got Said Benrahma, who's been brilliant. He's been snatching at his chances a little bit in recent games, trying to force it a little bit too much, trying to get that first goal. I think once it goes in, I think it may against Stockport, or may have already done, depending on when this video is going up. I think he will relax a little bit and we'll start to see the quality shine through. Jared Bowen, as always, I think will match him on the other side. He's very, very dangerous. He's always going forward, always driving at goal, which is what we like to see. And I think the little Argentinian, Manuel Lanzini, I'm getting a bit tongue-tied today, sorry for that, will be sitting in that number 10 role, and he will be pinging balls off and doing his little flicks and tricks, which we all like to see. He's been consistent since he's been back into the squad. Or he's not always been quality, but give it time. Give him time, back him, and he will do well. We all know what he can do. I think defensively we've been fantastic this year. I don't think you can fault any of the performances from the back line. And we've chopped and changed a fair bit. We've had Balwaina in, we've had Diop in, we've had Dawson in. The one central figure within that's always ever present is Ogbonna. He's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's got a good head on him. He seems to be commanding that back line and pulling him into shape. That does help by Aaron Cresswell being involved in more goals than any other defender in the Premier League this season. He's been fantastic going forward and from those set pieces. Soufal's come in and, well, he's just a warrior, isn't he? He's a warrior. We need more players like him that want to win. He's not worried about who the opponent is, the big names, the reputations. He just wants to play football and do the best he can do. He reminds me of a very young Zabaleta, which is good, because if he turns out to be half the player Zabaleta did in his prime, then we're on to a winner. In midfield, Declan Rice and Thomas Soucek, both brilliant. Declan Rice, best defensive midfielder in the world currently, in my opinion, certainly in the Premier League, has that spot nailed on. And Soucek going forward is brilliant. I do think that we should be giving all the players a diet of potato salad, because if it makes him play like that, then imagine what they will all do if we're all playing as well as he is at the moment. Both solid in midfield. I do fear that sometimes there isn't the composure that there needs to be. Everything seems to be a bit rushed and a bit nervy. I just feel like as a team, if we calmed down slightly, we'd be able to link those passes together and get that killer ball a little bit more often than we do. And that would be brilliant. Fabianski in goal. Needs no explanation, does it? He's brilliant as well. I do fear that Burnley are now starting to pick up. They've got a lot of key players back from injury. The likes of Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Nick Pope, they all was out at the beginning of the season when we see Burnley struggling. And now it's back to the same old, going to Burnley, playing against Burnley and having a hard slog for 90 minutes to try and grind out a result. Now, I feel like we can get this result. I really do. I'm confident we're playing well. We're playing the best football that I've seen in a long time, and we've got that never say die attitude. for this game and for every game this season, where usually we would fall over and not being able to grind out a point or even get a win or hold on to the win. We've seen a tenacity in this team that we haven't seen in a long time, which is fantastic for me. Hopefully, we're all still smiling at the end of the day. I don't really have much else to add. I've got a positivity that we will win. We're playing in claret and blue. They're the away team. They got to play in a different colour. So claret and blue for the win this time. Till then, I've been Ian. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Hi guys, Joe here from Turfcast Podcast. Just looking ahead to this weekend's game against West Ham United, obviously down at the London Stadium. It's an interesting one. I think it's a game that I think both teams can go into thinking that they could get a result. Obviously, I think you'll clearly be the favourites. That's just part and parcel of being a Burnley fan, though. The bookies never have you down as favourites, and especially this season because they've been a little bit indifferent. To be fair, obviously last season we had a slow start, but not as slow as this season. Obviously, eventually we then kicked on. Speaking from a Burnley perspective, I'm going into this game thinking that I wouldn't raise any eyebrows if we went there and won 1-0, and I wouldn't raise any eyebrows if you did a job on us and 1-2, 1-3, something like that. I do think it's a game that can go either way. And if you look at our recent record down at the London Stadium, obviously at first it never used to be a good ground for us, but in recent years, we've had a couple of victories and things like that. And obviously the one that stands out for me is the 3-0 win there a couple of years ago. Excuse me. And obviously you boys reached boiling point as fans, and I went to have a quiet word. I think it's fair to say with Gordon Sullivan, who were in the director's box, or at least tried to have a quiet word with them. And obviously a couple of fans spilled out onto the pitch as well. I seem to remember Ashley Barnes tripping someone over who had a corner flag in his hand or just stolen a corner flag. I can't remember. I'm going off on a tangent here a little bit, but the point I'm making is it's been a ground in recent years that we have had a bit of success at. But yeah, like I said, I do think this weekend's game can go either way. Obviously, just looking at West Ham outside looking in, this season you're a bit of a different animal than you have been in recent seasons. I'm surprised to see you're only 10th. I know 10th is good. I wish we were 10th. But I thought you'd be higher than that. I've just checked the league table to make sure that what I'm saying is right. But I was surprised to see you down in 10th. I thought you'd be 7th or 8th, something like that. Because I have, like I said, from the outside looking in, not obviously been analysing West Ham forensically this season, but I always seem to hear that you've won or to see that you've won. And obviously, if you compare it to last season, I think last season you were sort of flirting with relegation. No one ever really, again from a Burnley perspective, outside looking in, no one ever really thought that you would go down. But you've been like that for the last few seasons, just sort of like 15, 16, 17 sort of area, hovering above the relegation zone. But I've never felt that you've been in any danger of going down. Obviously, as fans of the club, I'm sure you'll have been a bit of a more of a nervous disposition and you might have been looking over your shoulder. But for me, I never really felt like you're in danger of going down. This season, I think you wanted me in the conversation. I think this season you'll probably finish comfortably in the top half. Just looking at the league table again, now you are 10th, as I've said, 3 points above Arsenal and 3 points above Leeds United. So you've had a decent start, and I think, like I say, this year you're a bit of a different animal. You seem to be quite organised this year. I think I'm not sure how you boys receive Moyes. I know he's the type of manager, like Bruce, that people can be a little bit negative towards because of their style of play. But I think he's got you organised quite well, and obviously you've had a few good results recently. The one that stands out is obviously the win at Goodison Park. It's a brilliant win that. Everton are a very good side this season. As I'm recording this, they're sat in 4th. Obviously, Tottenham and Man City are going to play this game week yet, so they could leapfrog them. That just shows how good Everton are and how good of a win that was. Just looking ahead to the game then from a Burnley perspective, we've had a few injuries recently. Well, illness breakout. We had a few cases of COVID recently, so we had to play a young side against MK Dons in the FA Cup. We managed to scrape through on penalties, but that was the reason why it wasn't as convincing as it could have been. The likes of Josh Brown and Ashley Westwood, Nick Pope, Loughton, Charlie Taylor, who's got an hamstring injury to be fair, so Charlie Taylor won't feature against you boys this weekend. I doubt. I haven't heard that confirmed yet, but I'd be very, very surprised if he played against West Ham at the weekend. But thankfully, Josh Brownhill came back against Manchester United yesterday. He had spent 10 days in isolation and had COVID, had a positive test, and according to some of his family on Twitter, he had been quite ill and he was kind of thrown in the deep end against Manchester United. So I can only imagine how tough that must have been. Obviously, being ill with what is essentially a lung infection. And then being thrown on the pitch to play against Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, that must have been tough for him. But thankfully for us, he is back and he's had a game under his belt, and he'll feel a lot better on Saturday. And I think he's an integral part of our team. He's done brilliantly this season. So him and Ashley Westwood in the middle. I could probably tell you the team now as best as I could. It's going to be Nick Pope in goal, and we'll have Eric Peters at left back because Charlie Taylor's missing. Then Ben Mee and Tarky in centre. Then Lawton at right back. Then this is where it gets a little bit complicated for us. I would have Dwight McNeil at left mid recently. Like I said, we just played Manchester United at the time of recording this last night. And we played Johan Berg Gudmundsson on the left. On the right and Brady on the left. I would have Dwight McNeil on the left and have Brownhill and Westwood in the middle and Brady on the right. McNeil on the left, Brady on the right. And then up front, this is where we've had our issues. Like, we're a very good defensive side. Everyone knows that. We've always been a very good defensive side, and that is still the same this season. But normally we're not the most adventurous side going forward. But when we do go forward, we're very clinical, and that's why we've had the success. Like, everyone's obsessed with this new expected goals stat. Burnley is one of two teams across Europe that regularly, like on pretty much every single game, gets a higher number of goals than their expected goals from that game. And there was a big thing about it on T4 Football about why they believe Sean Dyche side is so good at beating the expected goals. Whereas this season, that's the problem, but we're not clinical enough. Chris Wood has been horrendously out of form. I love Chris Wood. I try and back him up every single week on the podcast, and I'm always sticking up for him. But even I'm at the stage now where I think it's time that Chris was dropped. I still think he is our best striker in terms of finishing and in terms of heading, which is obviously one of our main strengths. But his confidence is so low at the minute. I think he needs a break. So for me this weekend, up top, I would go with Jay Rodriguez and Chris Wood. Normally, I've just said why I wouldn't go with Chris Wood. I meant to say Jay Rodriguez and Ashley Barnes. Normally I would go with Chris Wood, but like I said, I think it's time he had a break. He had a few weeks on the bench, fighting for his place, and then I do think he'll come back stronger from it. In terms of score predictions, I've literally just finished recording the podcast, and I said 1-1 on there, so I'm going to say 1-1 on this as well. But like I said, I wouldn't. It's one of them games that I do feel it can go both ways. I think you boys will be looking at it as a chance to get onto 29 points and to climb up the table, and again we'll be looking at it thinking of a chance to be able to get onto 19 points and move further away from the drop zone. If you look at our form recently, the only games that we've lost since the return of Ben Mee and since our bad form at the start of the season, should I say, which has coincided with the return of Ben Mee, is a Leeds United game at Ellen Road, which was absolutely scandalous. And if we had a competent referee, we wouldn't have lost that match. There was no chance. There was two very dodgy decisions: a penalty for Leeds that shouldn't have been a penalty for me, and Burnley scored a perfectly legal goal. If anything, it should have been a penalty to Burnley because their goalkeeper came out and clattered Ben Mee. The ball then fell to. I don't know what it fell to. It fell to a Burnley player anyway, and they put it in the back of the net, and the referee gave a free kick to Leeds. So that's that one. And then obviously we lost last night to Manchester United, but they've just gone top of the league. They've got the top of the league for a reason. They're a good side this season. The introduction of Bruno last January has really turned them around. So I don't think they'll win the league though, but that's a different debate. But the point is that they're at the top of the league at the minute for a reason. So we lost against a team that's top of the league and a horrendous referee, basically. So we can go into this game with a bit of confidence, and I think we will go into this game with a bit of confidence as fans, and hopefully the players will as well. And I think we'll get a draw. Fingers crossed anyway for us.
For West Ham fans everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. Never miss a thing with the latest West Ham news, gossip and social stories as they break. Download the free COY Irons app now from the App Store and Google Play.